There is a new tweet from the Boston Police Department. In capital letters, the word captured, followed by 3 exclamation marks. It goes on to say, the hunt is over, the search is done, the terror is over, and justice has won. Suspect in custody. That is a tweet from the Boston Police Department. The suspect has been captured. Don Daler has been in the neighborhood for us throughout all of this. Don, what are you seeing? What are you hearing?
Well, just moments ago, Scott, an ambulance came by with its lights flashing. It was preceded by police officers and had him behind him also. And a number of the officers who've been driving by have been giving us the thumbs up. They're obviously just elated. But I wanted to tell you what happens next. Depending on the severity of his injuries, he will be treated in the hospital with, obviously, with top security around him. But then he will be taken most likely to the John Moakley Federal Courthouse in South Boston. That's where he would be arraigned, having committed the crimes in this area. And ironically, 10 years ago, Richard Reed was arraigned in the same courthouse, and you remember him as the shoe bomber on the flight. Scott.
Don, thank you very much. I want to catch the audience up on where we are now. You are watching live CBS News coverage of the capture of the remaining suspect in the Boston Marathon bombings. 19-year-old Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was discovered in Watertown, Massachusetts, just north of Boston. He was wounded. We might be able to presume that he was wounded in a ferocious firefight that he was involved in with police last night, but he was apparently discovered hiding in a boat that was behind one of the residents' homes, and the FBI and the Boston police have captured him. He left the scene in an ambulance a short time ago. The suspect has been captured, wounded, but alive. Bob Orr has been following events with his sources in Washington, and as we watch these live pictures, Bob, I'd like to bring you in. What do you know that's new?
Well, Scott, I think there's a real question now. There's no question that the suspect is in custody. This is the right guy. Everyone now agrees across the board. But I think the real question now becomes, what is his condition? We've held back on reporting some things for a while for a couple of different reasons, but I can now tell you that at the scene of the shootout last night, there was the beginning of a blood trail, which told investigators pretty early on that he had been wounded or somehow injured in that melee that took place and all those gunshots going off. But the blood trail did not seem to be constant, and it did not continue, and so there were some doubts about how seriously he might be injured. But then, as you've reported and as John has reported, when the homeowner peeked in the boat, there was described to me quite a bit of blood, and there was blood on the ground approaching the boat. So if you think about that, they believe that the suspect climbed into that boat sometime in the overnight hours, perhaps as long ago as 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That's now, 8 hours ago or so. And if he were bleeding, he could have sustained, considerable blood loss. They also started to wonder about his condition when they were observing him from high up. He seemed to be very lethargic. At times he would move, and sometimes he would be passive, but the movement seemed erratic and not very violent. So there was a real question as to whether or not at points he was conscious or not, and if he was conscious, how weak he might be. So this becomes important for the next part of the puzzle, because now that he has been taken into custody and presumably still alive, it becomes increasingly important for investigators to keep him alive, because, as John can tell us better than I can, he could be the fount of a lot of intelligence. He could tell us how this plot was put together, how it went down. Most importantly, he might be able to tell investigators if he cooperated. Are there any Confederates, any other collaborators anywhere? Did he have any international training, schooling, or consultation? And that will go an awful long way to helping us understand whether the attack on Boylston Street in Boston was a one-off attack by a couple of brothers that decided on their own to create mayhem, or if it might be part of something more nefarious. So
Bob,
it's
thank
now
you.
in the interest of government to find out whether he's able to cooperate, Scott.
Bob, thank you very much.